Men, can I ask you something? Do you still feel like yourself? Or are you more tired than you used to be? Less driven, less focused, less interested? That's not just getting older. It could be your testosterone declining. And before you jump to injections, before you shut down your body's natural production, support it the right way. Critical T from Critical Nutrition Labs is designed to help your body naturally optimize testosterone, energy, strength, and drive. Go to criticalnutritionlabs.com/SBD and use code STRONGMEN25 for 25% off your order. Reclaim your edge. People do a really lousy job of assessing their lifestyle choices or, nutritional choices. These are people that we're talking about that are typically over-consuming processed foods, consuming fast foods on a very regular basis.
And a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
A lot of sugar.
A lot of sugar. And I was going to say, in addition to that, alcohol, a lot of excess alcohol in your system, whether that's daily wine, daily mixed, cocktails, daily beer intake. And that's a recipe for disaster when you're adding all of that together, because those things all happen to kind of mix well together, if you will.
One leads to the next.
And now all of a sudden you're wondering why you can't hold things in very well, or when you have a meal, you're in the bathroom in the next 20 to 30 minutes.
Right.
It's like, this is not a lot of brain surgery or brain science or whatever you want to talk about, rocket science happening right here. I think I know what the trouble is.
Right. But it is looking in the mirror for those things where if you sit in my seat and see 50 patients and watch how that story goes, if the reason they're coming to see me is something's wrong with their bowels, and Internet does a great job of, here, I took this survey. This is the supplement. What do you think of this? Can I have this drug? And I'm like, before you do any of that, just stop eating after 4 o'clock at night for the next 5 days and watch what happens.
Wow.
That includes booze after praying.
Right.
If you're going to have booze, have it at noon so it doesn't affect your sleep at night. Wow. And you start to say, before you do any of that, just this one simple thing. And then they're 50% of the symptoms are gone.
Wow.
And now you say, okay, how much do you want me to do if I can see that if you had 50% reduction in 7 days of that one little rule, now we add, less processed food, all the things that you just talked about, the symptoms go way down. And much more sustainable when you say, it's you, don't make it about what supplement you should be on, what drug you think I should prescribe. And 50 out of 50, it'd be at least 48 out of 50 that we don't need to do a dang thing on. And the final 2 of those are, again, short-term things that improve their outcome over the course of the next few months. So
we're really lousy, aren't we, in our culture here as Americans? And I'm including myself in this, of course, but moderation is not one of our strengths. It really isn't. We don't moderate anything very well. We don't moderate our screen time. We don't moderate our sleep time. We don't moderate our consumption of beverages or food. Everything's overdone. Everything's overconsumed, overdone.
It's back to that 150 years ago versus now. The intensity in our lives and how we keep wanting for it. It's gluttonous. Like, it feels good to have high production, several decisions, a good biz, all the things that you put energy towards. But that is a huge toll on us that we're just these humans. We have to rest. We have to, take it down a notch. Yeah. If we're looking at the longest, health span, it does notch away at some of these things that at our age, we can have a few little symptoms. But boy, I think of that 65-year-old that if somebody would have backed up 10 years in his life, he would look just like you and I.
Wow.
Doing all the things, being very intentional, solid family, doing great work in his community. And if you said, Chris, in 10 years, your son is going to say the words, I don't see it in Dad, but Mom does. That brain's not working right. And you say, I should have, put midnight back in the middle of the night. I should have, creatine's going to help with this bridge, but there are some really important core principles to aging that if you don't get that depth of sleep, if you don't get you're good at exercise, if you don't keep that routine in there and have that programmed process time, downtime. You know who I think does this really well? You know who Matt Higgins is, right?
Yeah, of course I knew Matt.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
So every time I get around that guy, he runs this, Hope Children's
Home. Yeah, we've had them on the show. We love that place.
So the work he's doing is amazing.
Yes.
But you've met people who run nonprofits, and you watch them into their 50s and 60s, and they're a shell.
Tireless work.
Oh, because the work is amazing, but that ability to balance that, it doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, Matt's not out constructing high rises. He's saving one little soul at a time and trying to get them connected back to their family in a mass process. And I learned from every time I hear about his schedule that he takes days where you do not go into the office, you get away from home, and you pour into yourself about, what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And it's like this appreciation that the rest day is how I perform on those other days.
Wow.
And I tell patients to do this, but I've never seen somebody do it as well as Matt does.
Wow, good for him. Well, his dad did something right. He's got a great dad, obviously, who's the founder of the place. And
so he's got shoes to fill that he could be burned out by now because he's, 5 years into, or 4 or 5 years into his role.
Yeah.
That should wear on you. You should be hard on your marriage. It should be hard on your family.
Yeah.
And finding that balance of serving what God's designed you to do, and then respecting that it isn't, I don't have to do all 5 days this intensely. I'm the one who's doing this. And if I could look at my, 10 years down the road saying that this demented person, it's really been on my heart thinking they have no idea what's about to happen to this guy. I mean, I want to say I could back you away from the edge, but you got to change you and your wife and the sleep habits and all these things that we're talking about.
That's the thing, too, that a lot of people don't, maybe it's not talked about as much. It's not always just about the person changing. It's about the life around them changing too. And people get very comfortable in their lives and they don't want to change either.
Like if you stopped cleaning the kitchen at night, wouldn't it irritate your wife?
It would. It would, because she's the main cook, right?
So,
I'm weekend breakfast daddy and grill guy. That's my role. Okay. Otherwise, my wife's the main cook. So she likes for me to be the cleaning guy. But it probably wouldn't take much convincing if I said, babe, it might be a mess overnight, but I'm going to start getting up early, before you even, or something, and I'll do it in the morning. That would be an easy.
It's the same impact, though, where you have to consider what it's going to do to the other people.
Yes.
I mean, when they said, would you take this patient on to help him with, his borderline dementia? I'm like, well, how many different approaches to improving his brain has he taken on in the last 6 months? 3 different plans.
Yep.
Like, and what fails with those
plans?
What kind
of support is he getting?
Right. If there's not buy-in from the other folks, I mean, you can get them to buy into creatine supplements. We can teach you about the dose. It's not going to hurt you or your kidneys.
That's right.
But is that going to change the trajectory of how your brain works? Not for long. You can deliver that extra energy as long as the supplement's going in, but the repair process behind a broken brain is something I think there's some great podcasters out there who are focusing, yes, this is a great bridge, but they are they're doing that lean body, state of ketosis, depth of sleep. They're doing all the things. I don't think that's what most people are doing. I think most people are saying
most people see that and they marvel at it,
right?
And it's really phenomenal because they're learning so much. They're their own test dummy. They're doing everything to themselves and getting all these great results and sharing them. But most people aren't that committed to anything. Not to that level, but. With most things in life, it's a baby steps and it's a process, and it's start with this, and then you can build to that, and then you can build to this, but you have to be able to have that 5 to 10 year down the road mentality, because you have to start thinking that way. Especially, I think what would you say that the age cutoff is for really like looking at your life, looking at your health, thinking about longevity and brain age and aging well and keeping your cognitive, your wherewithal. Like, is it 40 the good marker? Is it 35? Is it 45? Like, when's the...
Chris, when I first started in internal medicine, I would have said, you don't have to worry about things until 55. Yeah. Even at 55, if you come, we will figure out how to get this. We can reverse that. And that is not true. That is not true. If you look at this, take this example. 65 is when the family says something's wrong.
Yes.
Okay? 20 years before that was the trash was plenty.
That would have been the time.
Right. And the problem is he has no symptoms. I mean, it is 40 years old, you're rocking it, you're killing it, you're pushing, you're outsmarting people because your brain is working well. Yeah. But underlying, the trash is not getting taken out. I have this big class I do twice a year where it's high touch. I have 200 students. I walk through a ketogenic state, and for 3 weeks, they're pricking fingers, doing the things, checking in with a coach every day, Monday through Friday for 3 weeks, and we change lives. But if you look at the folks who are 80 taking that course, 70 taking that course, I mean, all of them are trying to scramble away from the edge of what a memory problem looks like. Mm-hmm. But even 40-year-olds who have been significantly insulin resistant, some of them it's overweight, some of them it's the lack of fertility, some of them it's brain fog, mental health issues. They don't all look the same on the outside, but chemically inside there's too much insulin. And it's 20 years of that excess insulin is where you start to say, I don't know if we can undo that. And some of these insulin-resistant patients are starting at 18 years old. I mean, they've just finished puberty. And you're like, damn, that's like 38 years old and I can't undo that button?
Wow.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's frightening.
So when I say what's the no return, I mean, I'm looking at things that if you clean up your life, you say, what is it for you? So if you go home and you say, all right, honey, I had this talk, we're going to put midnight back in the middle, we're going to fix the sleep. That is the first most important thing in your life that I would say focus on. If you said, do that and really focus on it for 3 weeks, you're going to screw it up, you're going to wake up in the middle of the night, follow the bed hygiene things where you stick to the bedtime and you say, everybody's phones go in the basket in the kitchen at 8 o'clock, and everybody goes to bed somewhere between 9 and 9:30 would be healthy. And you did that for 3 weeks. If you can reset that habit in 3 weeks and you're going to bed and waking up, it's a big predictor that you have a reversible problem. When I see patients come in and they say, I've done your sleep hygiene, I've watched this, and I can't get my brain to do what I'm telling it to do. It's waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I can't undo it.
Oh, wow.
And they're 3 weeks in. They tried for 3 weeks.
That's the red flag.
Right. That's what
you can't. Your body's fighting this attempt.
That's where I worry. Oof, something in there is not reversible. That's dangerous.
Because when I will say this. There are those times they happen where I do go to bed with everybody,
and
I sleep great.
Right.
And I am a heavy sleeper, and I don't wake up. I'm not a toss-turn guy. I lay down, I say a prayer, and I'm usually asleep within
minutes. That is a gift, man.
Minutes.
Hold on to that.
Yeah, I'm thankful for that. Right. And I sleep until either I have to get up and go pee because it's 5 a.m. and I had too much to drink that in those last waning hours of the day, or I wake up with the alarm. Right. So the good thing is my sleep quality, I think, is good, very good.
So fix the habit before that's gone.
I know.
That's the key.
That's the key.
When I look at the dementia stuff, I'll start with a sleep history every time saying, how long is that? Have you tried to reverse that? And those hints of the length of time the sleep problem's been there and how they can't undo it without my medication, that's a warning signal. Now, we work through it, and I do see it's not a hard rule, but it's one you can do at your own, saying, okay, put this back at the front of the list, see if you can reverse it in 3 weeks and stay the course. Wow. And then if you go back to that habit, at least you said, but I was really good. How old are you this year?
50.
Yeah, I was really good at 50. And so you have a marker saying, oh, okay, that's a good thing for me to know.
Look in the mirror for a second. Not at your hairline, not at the gray, not at the wrinkles. Look at your energy. Look at your drive. Look at the fire. If you're being honest, is it the same? A lot of men don't realize what's happening. They're tired earlier, workouts feel heavier, motivation feels forced, and patience gets thinner. They think Maybe this is just aging, or worse, they jump straight to injections. But before you go medical, before you commit to shutting down your body's natural production, ask a better question. Have I done everything I can to naturally support my testosterone? Critical T from Critical Nutrition Labs was built for that exact reason. It's designed to help your body optimize its own testosterone levels, supporting strength, energy, performance, and drive. Because this isn't just about hormones, it's about leadership, confidence, vitality, being strong for the people who depend on you. Go to criticalnutritionlabs.com/SBD and use code STRONGMEN25 for 25% off your order. Don't accept decline. Take control. I'm just finally coming to terms with this, by the way, that I'm no longer in my 40s.
You're on the downhill.
I know. I'm on the second half.
I know, right?
It's basically like when you look up at a really nice ski lift, like at a mountain, and you look up and you're like, oh, it looks so nice. I'm on the, you can't even see where I went. I'm on the other side of the peak.
Yeah.
I'm going down the other side. I'm going down the former double diamond that's illegal now because they don't even know, that there's trees in the way.
You're doing a lot of things right, though.
I feel like I'm doing some stuff right. I can't imagine. Sometimes I do like to convince myself that I'm only halfway there.
Right. Well,
that 100 is my goal.
If you've got the other predictor that how well are you going to age? So it sounds like you have a good control of your sleep, even if it's not quite as much as I'd like you to have.
Right.
Your muscle mass and your ability to lift heavy things. That's another thing that the supplement of creatine is very good for. Yep. Like keeping the energy there, really that repair process even tighter because of the supply of energy.
Who knew that these bodybuilders were
they were ahead.
If they would just get off some of the wacky drugs and stuff that they got themselves into, which doesn't really lead to a long life. No. A lot of these guys, if they abuse stuff, they don't get much past 50 or 60.
Oh, that's real.
And their bodies are just, because they push so hard and their bodies were just pushed to the limits for so long, way beyond the limits, the normal limits that the physiology was going to offer. But when it came to the focus on the strength training and that impact on the muscle and the connective tissue and the bones and and what it was doing for them cognitively, there's been a lot of people like you look at I love this following Dorian Yates. Now you might not really remember who he is. You remember the name Arnold Schwarzenegger, certainly, right? Do you remember the name Lee Haney?
Yeah,
Lee Haney from the 80s. Okay, so he was I think he eclipsed Arnold with like the most Olympia wins, right? Okay. In the 80s. He had like 8 of them or something. And then after him was Dorian Yates, and he was like the big guy of the 90s. And monster, just a freakish, muscle monster. But he has this like resurgence right now as a guy who tapered back from all of that heavy muscle mass, got down to he has a great physique as an older man. He did a lot of, I think, yoga, and he did a lot of stuff to try and get his body back in a way that was different from the heavy, all that heavy lifting and drug abuse. I'm sure, that I don't know. I've heard him talk much about that, but certainly that's part of the thing. But I've gotten a kick out of watching him, and he's been on a lot of different. He's talked with Huberman and talked with a lot of these different big time podcasters, and he's so intelligent when it comes to training and how to get the most out of training. I've been doing his recommended something that he was experimenting with, or 6 minutes of cardio. Oh, I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent. But have you heard
this guy?
Have you heard the 6 minute of cardio thing?
I actually think I listened to the Yates conversation with Huberman.
Okay,
yeah,
and. So I started doing it. Oh. Because who the hell wants to do 45 minutes of cardio if you can do it in 6, right? And people are listening going, what? And I go, well, it's not your typical cardio session. So some people wouldn't even be able to get through it, frankly. I have a fan bike. It's right there. You can see it. And
those are my least favorite.
Yeah, well, Fan bike works everything, right? You're cranking your legs, you're pushing your arms forward and back. Now, to do it at a kind of a slow to moderate pace is reasonable, but fatiguing for 10 to 12 minutes or whatever your length of time is. And I've spent probably the last year doing a lot of sessions on it for about 10 or 12 minutes. And I usually kind of just get to the point where my butt hurts or I just want to get off of it. Well, I saw that interview with Dorian and Dan, and he was talking about the 6 minutes of cardio. And he explains it like this. He says, well, you get on the bike and you do about a minute or a minute and a half of just a warm-up. That's your warm-up to get going. And then you go for 20 seconds like the devil is chasing you. Maximum effort. You couldn't do it any faster or any harder. And you do that for 20 seconds. And then you go and you hit your 20.
I totally want to do this.
And then you go back to normal after that. Now, you've already done max effort for 20 seconds. You feel it in your lungs. You feel it in your body. Your legs start feeling heavy. You're winded, everything else. You don't feel good. It doesn't feel good to do that. But you still have enough in the tank where you can, I can go at a moderate pace again. And then after about a minute and a half, you got to do it again. 20 seconds, all out, like someone's running at you with a deadly weapon and you're trying to escape. And you do it, and you can't wait for that 20 seconds to be over. And you get through the second one, and you're just like, that was worse than the first one. And I don't know if I could do another one, but I'm going to try. And so you keep going at your one, you're going to do another minute and a half, and then you do your third 20 seconds. And you really, truly feel like there's nothing left. Those last 5 seconds of the 20, you're absolutely dead. And then you just get to your 6 minutes and you're done. Okay. And he said most people won't be able to get through the third one. Most people won't be able to even do the third 20-second. Because if you're truly, honestly pushing yourself as hard, max effort as you can, people aren't used to it. They're not used to the way it feels. But I got off that thing. I felt like I did 100 leg presses. My legs were filled. My lungs were, I was wheezing. I was gasping. I'm like... And that's all. That equates to 45 minutes of slow going, moderate cardio session in terms of caloric burn and probably the stress on the body after the fact. Right. I feel that for a half an hour after I do it.
So that is way better. You can sell me on that any day over.
That's what I thought. Right? I would much rather go through the torture of 6 minutes.
Then done.
Yes. So you got to try it.
I'm going to try it. So I have a rower that I could do that on.
You could do it on a rower.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, because we have a water rower right here, I would maybe like it less on the water rower. I at least feel like the bike
gives you
the form. I don't have to think about the form. Right. I'm on a fixed thing. I don't have to worry about my foot coming off. I don't know. Maybe it would be just as miserable, but just as about the same result. I don't know. But the bike feels just about right to me. Yeah. I do recommend it to anybody out there who hates cardio but does know that they need to push themselves that way.
6 minutes. I could do that.
I know. Once or twice a week. I did it once this week, yesterday. I did it twice last week, and I think I did it once the week before. So I've done it 4 times. So I know mentally now, I know I can do it.
All right, so the next time I come on here, you're going to have to ask me, did I do it?
Okay.
And if I have to commit to something, accountability, I'll have to say, did I do it? 6 minutes. Okay.
I highly recommend it. I couldn't recommend it anymore. And I want to continue to do it because I feel like it's doing something for me. When you feel it for as long as I feel it afterwards, I have to walk around the gym afterwards just to gather myself for a good 5 to 10 minutes just before I can move on to whatever else I'm going to do. I mean, that means something. That means something. So, okay. So I wanted to talk about some myths, and then I also want to talk about the product itself, like the best kinds. Here's some rapid fire myths that I want you to I guess, shoot down. That creatine damages your kidneys.
Right. Fake news.
Okay.
Yeah. That, again, it does increase the water weight, and people have that weight change.
Yes.
Because it's going intracellular. But it also is going to shift one of the labs that we look at that measures kidney function. The supplement being present changes the math. And it doesn't change the kidney function, it changes the math. So,
gotcha.
I get that question all the time.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Well, we got to hit it, right?
Yeah.
Creatine causes hair loss because
Yeah.
everybody's obviously. If I've been taking it my whole life now, I feel like hair loss is more of a genetic thing than anything else.
Well, and hair loss is whenever you shift to a deficit of nutrition. Now, that means you're losing weight. Even on a ketogenic diet, when we shift, there is a response that hair will fall out. It will restore, but you're going to have a stress response to the body. So people think hair follicles are like pieces of grass and it's kind of like a lawn. No, it's like every one of those follicles is in a different little phase. But when you stress it, you trigger a reset to your hair growth. But if I stress you today, it's going to be at least 3 weeks before that hair falls out. So when they start to change nourishment, like they go on a vegan diet or they go on a ketogenic diet, that 3 weeks later, they're like clumps of hair. No. Yeah. And especially if they were unhealthy in the first place, oof, it's a lot. So no, it does not cause the hair loss. That's not what's doing it. But oftentimes the supplement of creatine is accompanied with a shift in how they're eating. And so I get that question a lot too.
Okay. Yeah. Those are two of the most common one. And this is the third one, that creatine makes you fat, which we've already kind of discussed. Right. But what we've talked about, it's an increase in the water in the muscle.
Right. It's intracellular. So it is doing a great job of going to the right spot where you should be putting water. But that scale changes.
Yeah.
Don't be a wrestler and weigh in.
And don't be weighing yourself, hour by hour, day after day. What's a good schedule? It's good to know how much you weigh, but
it is a metric worth following.
Sure.
It is not worth obsessing. What I tell people is the weight changes when you do take creatine, but it is not the kind of weight you should be distracted by.
That's right.
When I decrease your fat mass,
yes.
I have a lot of cancer patients who say, I don't want to go on the ketogenic diet and lose weight. And I'm like, well, you're losing water and fat mass when I put you in a state of ketosis. That weight isn't the same commodity as muscle mass. And cancer patients, there is a metric that the scale tells us something, but it is overgeneralized, and people say all weight is not the same.
No.
The water weight you get from creatine, don't sweat it. The fat mass that you lose when on a ketogenic diet, that's what we're trying to do. It is not the muscle mass.
Yeah, body composition. I would rather people just try on that same pair of jeans and see how they fit. That kind of thing. Like there's other ways to measure your health beyond just getting on a scale. It's a good thing to do in addition to.
Right. It's a metric that matters. It is is not a metric worth obsessing on.
No, correct not. And lastly, acidic drinks destroy it. Now we've kind of talked about the coffee at the same time or mixed into your coffee. Other acidic drinks, like with juice, orange juice is acidic. Right?
Yeah, right. Well, I would tell you that orange juice is full of carbs and you're causing more problems.
Yes, right. You have other problems going on there.
The citric side of it is, I think, it's overblown. Again, if there is a chemistry process that happens when there's an acidic and you put the creatine with it, but it is time spent in that solution that you have to worry about. By the time you put it in your stomach, you've now just changed the equation again.
That's right.
And especially as it heads down that GI tract, it's a different beast. So sure, don't put it in the orange juice and sit it there overnight before you drink it, because now you have an impact of that time exposed to that acidic change. Right. That's not what most people are doing.
Yeah, but for 5 to 10 minutes or whatever, right before you consume it.
Right.
And I wrote here, it's not supported by solid evidence.
Right.
Anyway. Okay, so some practical advice for our listeners is creatine monohydrate is typically what you're looking for, what you're going after. Should they be looking for the NSF certification or the CreaPure verbiage on their bottles? And should the product be a from Germany type product?
Right.
Like I've seen this now in a couple interviews.
The NSF. So I entered the supplement world in 2018. It's a beast. It is a world that I was disappointed when my patients in a cancer story couldn't get consistent products that had ketones in it. And so I finally just said, all right, let's step over this threshold and see if I can make one that I can trust. Oh my word. It is the Wild West. So the NSF is a really good stamp of saying, yes, it was checked. Yes, it's a lab that follows the rules.
Yes.
I've had to switch manufacturers a couple times in this story. You can't even you can't even begin to play if that's not on your certification. So if it doesn't have that, look away. You really do need that. The other one was what?
The Creapure.
Tell me about that, because
I saw, and I think the Creapure is indicative of it that it came from Germany.
Oh.
That's my thought.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's a processing thing or if it's a sourcing thing of where it comes from in particular. But if it's something that's not even like on your radar, then I'm not very concerned about it.
Yeah,
if it's not anything,
I wouldn't pay attention to that. Meaning, you can find this everywhere. One of the other fun things that you can look at on labels is, did the third-party testing end up from a couple of, like on Amazon now, you cannot have any product on there that doesn't have a testing done through it's like a half dozen labs throughout the country.
Oh, wow.
Amazon's the one who picks them.
Yeah.
You don't get to choose, and you have to pass. You don't get to touch the product in the middle. So in other words, you can't doctor the results.
Yes.
And that came as a result of some incredible lawsuits that people are just making stuff up.
Yes.
So, and you go to the creatine that's on Amazon, and they all have this very similar, here's the ingredient label.
Yes.
We don't add any fillers.
Yes.
And those are the ones that sell the best with the highest
Yes.
outcomes and have all the, so that's where I've said.
Yeah. That's kind of where my thought process went to, because I'm like, if it's a highly rated item with lots of 4 and 5 star ratings and all this stuff on Amazon, it's pretty well vetted at that point.
Totally.
I can't imagine that it's getting through being a crap item.
And the rules Amazon's had over the last few years there's Amazon police are real.
Yeah.
You can't have 4 to 5. They'll take you down. They'll take you down if you're doing something naughty.
That's right.
And I know better than to trust them forever and ever, but there are some things that are in play right now that say, if you've got that many high-star reviews, there is something that they have protected the consumer from, and as much as Amazon can be a
and
beast.
most of them are all very similarly priced.
Yes, it's cheap. There is very little profit.
Inexpensive. Why is it so inexpensive? I guess I don't. Do you have any clue behind that? Because so many supplements, protein can start getting pricey, and then you look at some of these other ones. It's like, oh my gosh, a bottle of that is $79 or whatever. It's like.
Well, I've also said that there's not, in recent years, there's not a lot of pharma industry supporting the research on this brain stuff. I mean, it's coming from National Institute of Health. It's coming from these sources where they're decoupled from a big, pharma industry for why this product is doing so well. And I think that also has not just improved its awareness, but I'll go and buy this from Amazon, and you see the market has reduced to the, if you're not interested in making too much of the money from that product because you have other product lines that do it,
correct.
It'll be their loss leader. Maybe not loss leader.
Yeah, I was going to say, but that might be their entry point item.
Right. Because it's so easy, it's so common. You don't have to read much of anything to say, this cheap, easy, don't look at 40 ingredients, one ingredient.
And more science behind it, than anything else that's probably being sold.
And the reviews are high, and it's number 1 on Amazon. You're like, that's a no-brainer.
I'm in.
If you're trying to make money at becoming part of this market, be careful. It's really saturated.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's super, super saturated. So creatine, it's a cellular energy compound, a brain support supplement, a potential longevity tool.
Right.
And as we've just said several times, one of the safest, most researched supplements available. And it's just almost laughable to me that for the first 2.5 decades of me taking it, almost 3 decades of me using it, I only thought what I was doing was going to help make me feel stronger in my workouts and help, my bench press go up a little bit. And all this time, if it
would have just risen the dose.
Risen that dose, I'd be a little bit smarter, a sharper guy. That's it's crazy. It's beyond me. I had a question here, kind of an ender, I guess, is if creatine were discovered today as a new pharmaceutical for brain energy and neuroprotection, would it be one of the most prescribed compounds in the world?
It would. That is really the hardest part about how much I've had to shift my mind about this supplement. Is it used to be this thing where I'm like, if I can just keep up enough to answer the questions, these muscleheads coming in to ask me questions, I feel good. And now it's in this leading path that not only did they take it for all those years, so it's been around safety-wise, it's got lots of data, but it has the potential for some of this unbelievably improvements as our population ages and as brain health becomes, as it should be, the focus of longevity.
Yeah. It really is. And I've had a kick, obviously, out of looking into this myself with courses and with conversations with you over the years, and just all the some of the programming that I've developed that speaks to movement of the body impacting our brains and stuff. But here's a supplement that is what we thought was just for your muscles and getting stronger, but no. This could help you cognitively. This could help you feel a little bit
Good thing
sharper.
You figured it out at
midday.
50.
Yeah, good thing I finally figured it out. You know, hey, you do get wiser as you get older and better looking. Look at both of us. So this has been fantastic. What do you have going on? What's big for you right now that we can share with our audience?
You know, we are still doing. I have really been thankful that the brand has become as popular. You get distracted with a lot of people saying, oh, you can do this and you can do this. But I really find what I'm called to do is teach the ketogenic diet in a way that reverses chronic medical problems.
Yes.
I still do that big flagship course twice a year that is high touch, really intense.
Did it go great? Because it was only just last month?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago we got done.
2 weeks ago,
yeah. Honestly, it was the best. It's the best medicine I've done in 25 years. I'll do that until I die. It might kill off a few of my staff because it's very intense, but we are doing great work. We're reversing medical problems, teaching people how to really do this in a way that that 65-year-old has a chance if he's willing to lean in.
And I'm sure you were happy with the food pyramid flippage.
Oh, yeah.
Who isn't?
I'm glad to not be in politics, but I am definitely glad the politicians are paying attention.
Thank God.
Right?
I mean, it was like kind of a sigh of relief when I just saw that was happening. And we did a podcast on it a few weeks ago with Will Grazione, and he's the educated dieter. If you haven't heard of him, he's amazing, a super brilliant guy, and we talked in length about that. So I recommend people go back and listen to the Food Pyramid Scandal, I think is the name of the episode with Will Grazione. To go back and check that out. And just so happy to have our dear friend, Dr. Boz, back in the house. If you haven't subscribed to her YouTube channel, shame on you. Your YouTube channel's as big as ours now.
No, it's a million.
It's going to surpass ours. It's like going crazy.
Well, I do think you've got elder people trying to say, how do you push reset? And we do teach that. I honestly think it's an education thing. You don't need to be a doctor to teach it, but I've committed that you should have somebody with a medical degree help us answer these questions in a way that really says, here.
I think so. I try to stay in my lane. I try to stay in my lane and just learn from smarter people than I with some of these issues.
I am of the mindset that there is plenty of space here for us all ships to rise as we focus on health and focus on saying it's not just about the prescriptions. It's about how you're doing life.
That's right. It is.
Well, thank you for
we appreciate you doing some life here at the compound for sure. And we're so grateful for your friendship and having you back. And won't be the last time.
Right.
We'll have another great
I will
topic.
have my 6 minutes under my belt. At least once.
I can't. Well, I'll text you randomly. And then I'll wait to make sure that you have done it at least once, so that it can when it comes up, I'm not catching you off guard. It'll you'll have some feedback for me. But we thank you, listeners, so much for checking out the Strong by Design podcast again and enjoying our lovely guest, Annette Bosworth, Dr. Boz, the one and only. And go back and if you have to listen to some of this stuff again, because there was quite a lot of information in this episode, please go back and do so. Share it with a friend or a family member who could benefit from probably taking some creatine. And we just thank you for supporting the show, and God bless you. We'll talk with you again real soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.